Prairie Bend. Written by Alicia Reed. Episode 3. The paperwork was filed by 10 o'clock. Danielle Porter stood beside Mr. Lowe at the county clerk's counter, her signature still fresh on the final page. The clerk stamped the document with a practiced thud and slid it into a folder without comment. It was not ceremony Prairie Bend respected. It was record. Outside, the sun sat high and indifferent. Reggie waited near the steps, hands in his pockets, watching the flow of people in and out of the building like he was reading a weather pattern. "It is done," Danielle said as she reached him. Reggie nodded once. "And today's the day they stop pretending." She exhaled. "I was hoping for one quiet afternoon." Reggie smiled faintly. Prairie Bend does not give those to people who do not bend. They walked toward the truck together, the weight of the morning settling in behind them. The first sign came at lunch. Danielle stepped into the coffee shop and felt it immediately. Pause. The recalibration. Conversations resumed, but not quite the same. The welcome had shifted from curiosity to caution. She ordered her usual and took a seat by the window. Mrs. Caldwell passed her table without stopping. That was new. Danielle did not flinch. She stirred her coffee slowly, refusing the instinct to look around and measure herself against the room. Reggie slid into the chair across from her. "You feel that?" "Yes," Danielle said quietly. "They are withdrawing." "That is strategy," he replied. "Distance makes people doubt themselves." Danielle met his gaze. "It will not work." Reggie's expression softened. "I know." By mid-afternoon, the second sign arrived. Procedural, polite, and sharp. An email from the city planning office requesting additional environmental documentation. The same documents already submitted. Twice. Danielle forwarded it to Mr. Lowe without comment. His reply came minutes later. "Expected. We respond once, not twice." She smiled at that. Staying had taught her something already. Urgency was Prairie Bend's favorite weapon. She was not going to hand it to them. That evening, Danielle drove out to the land alone. The air was thick with late-day heat, cicadas loud in the trees. She parked near the fence line and walked until the town noise fell away. Parcel 17 stretched wide and unbothered. Danielle stood still, hands on her hips, and let the quiet press in, not as pressure, but as reminder. This was what they wanted her to forget. Her phone buzz. "Reggie, you out there?" Danielle. "Yes." Pause. "Reggie, I will come if you want." Danielle looked across the acres, the grass moving in waves like breath. "Danielle, stay for now." She needed to feel this alone. When she returned to town, the sky was bruised purple and gold. Denise was waiting on the porch, arms folded, expression thoughtful. "They have started calling," Denise said as Danielle climbed the steps. Danielle nodded. "I figured." "Not about the land," Denise added. "About you." Danielle paused. "What are they saying?" Denise sighed. "Half for conscience to how you are distant. That you are forgetting where you came from." Danielle laughed softly. "I have never been more aware of it." Denise studied her. "That is what scares them." They sat together as the evening cooled, the porch light flickering on as dusk settled. "You holding up?" Denise asked. "Yes," Danielle said. Then, after a beat, "Most days." Denise reached over and squeezed her hand. "That is enough." Later, Reggie stopped by. They stood in the driveway, the day finally quieting around them. "They are testing your endurance now," he said. "Seeing if you will get tired." Danielle crossed her arms. "I have been tired before." Reggie smiled. "Different kind of tired." She met his gaze. "I'm not backing down." "I know," he said. "I just do not want you thinking you have to do this by yourself." Danielle hesitated, then nodded. "I won't." They stood there a moment longer, the distance between them familiar, but shifting, less guarded, more intentional. "Tomorrow will not be easier," Reggie said. "No," Danielle agreed. "But it will be clearer." He nodded. Clarity scares people more than anger. Danielle watched the streetlights flicker on one by one, Prairie Bend settling into its night routines. The town had drawn its quiet lines. So had she. And somewhere between the paperwork and the silence, Danielle understood the truth she would been circling since she returned. Holding ground was not loud. It was patient. And Prairie Bend was just beginning to learn what that meant. Prairie Bend did not move all at once. It never did. It applied pressure where it believed Danielle Porter would feel it most. The first call came just after breakfast. Danielle stood at the sink, rinsing her mug, when her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. "Kendra?" Her cousin's voice came tight. "Hey, do you have a minute?" Danielle turned off the water. "Of course. What is wrong?" "I'm at work," Kendra said. "Well, they just called me into the office." Danielle's shoulders stiffened. "They said the budget changed," Kendra replied. "That my position might be restructured." Danielle closed her eyes briefly. "Did they say why?" "No," Kendra said, "but they mentioned your name. Not directly, just carefully." There it was. "I am so sorry," Danielle said quietly. Kendra exhaled. "I know you did not ask for this. I just thought you should know. This is starting to touch people." Danielle swallowed. "Thank you for telling me." After the call ended, Danielle stood still for a long moment, the weight of it settling in her chest. This was new. Reggie found her an hour later, sitting on the porch steps, elbows on her knees. "You look like you are carrying something," he said gently. Danielle looked up. "They went after Kendra." Etie's jaw flexed. "How?" "Her job," Danielle replied. "Not directly. Not openly. Just enough to scare her." Reggie nodded slowly. "That is escalation." Danielle pressed her palms together. "This is what I did not want. This is what happens when pressure stops working at the surface," Reggie said. "They go looking for seams." Danielle stood. "I need to talk to Mr. Lowe." "I will drive," Reggie said without hesitation. Mr. Lowe listened carefully, fingers steepled as Danielle explained. "They cannot legally retaliate against your cousin," he said. "But they can create inconvenience, discomfort, uncertainty." Danielle's voice stayed steady. "What do I do?" Mr. Lowe met her gaze. "You document everything, and you do not move." Reggie leaned against the wall. "They want her to flinch." Mr. Lowe agreed. "And they want you to feel responsible." Danielle nodded. "I do." "And that is human," Mr. Lowe said. "But it is also how power misdirects guilt." He slid a notepad across the desk. "Write down every instance. Names, dates, words used. Patterns matter." Danielle took the pad. "I will not let this spread." Mr. Lowe's expression softened slightly. "You may not be able to stop the attempt, but you refuse to be moved by it." That afternoon, Danielle drove through town alone. She passed familiar places, the beauty shop, the grocery store, the small park where she had once sat dreaming of leaving. Now, the looks had changed. Not hostile, concerned, sympathetic, dangerous. At the stoplight, Mrs. Caldwell's car pulled up beside hers. The woman glanced over, hesitated, then rolled down her window. "Danielle," she said. "People are talking." Danielle nodded. "They usually are." Mrs. Caldwell lowered her voice. "They are worried this fight is hurting folks who do not deserve it." Danielle met her eyes. "That is not on me." Mrs. Caldwell sighed. "You know Prairie Bend? It does not like disruption." Danielle held her gaze. "It will survive." The light changed. Mrs. Caldwell drove on. Danielle did not follow. That evening, Reggie joined Danielle on the land as the sun sank low, the grass catching the light like fire. "They are trying to make you choose between people and principle," Reggie said. Danielle nodded. "It is cruel." "It is effective," he replied, "if you let it be." Danielle stared across the acres. "I will not." Reggie studied her. "Are you sure?" She turned to him. "It will not sacrifice the future to make today easier." Reggie nodded slowly. "That is leadership." Danielle let out a breath. "It feels like loss." "It always does," Reggie said. At first, they stood in silence, the land holding steady around them. "My grandmother knew this would happen," Danielle said softly. Yes, Reggie agreed. That is why she chose you. Danielle looked at him. You never tried to talk her out of it. No, Reggie said. I just promised I would stand close. Danielle met his gaze, something unspoken passing between them, trust, resolve, and the shared weight of staying. As dusk deepened, Danielle felt the truth settle fully. Prairie Bend was not just testing her ownership, it was testing her nerve. And she was done mistaking discomfort for defeat. Tomorrow, the pressure would come again, sharper, closer, more personal. But tonight, Danielle Porter stood on ground she had chosen, and she was not moving. The notice did not come to Danielle Porter directly. That was the point. She heard about it from 3 different people before noon, each one delivering the same information with a slightly different expression. There would be a town meeting. Not the kind with an agenda taped to City Hall glass. Not the kind announced politely in the bulletin. This one would be called, and everyone would be expected to attend. They are saying it is about community unity, Denise told her, voice dry as she set a plate of food on the table. Which means somebody wants control back. Danielle nodded. When is it? Tonight, Denise said. At the church. There it was. Prairie Bend had decided to bring God into it. Reggie arrived just after lunch, his expression already set. They are making it public, he said. Danielle met him at the door. They ran out of quiet options. Reggie nodded. They are counting on emotion. Danielle grabbed her keys. Then I will not give it to them. The church filled quickly that evening. Not just regulars, everybody. People Danielle had not seen in years, sat shoulder to shoulder with those who never missed a Sunday. The air was thick with perfume, starch, and expectation. Danielle walked in with Denise and Reggie, and the room shifted. Not hostility, but attention. Pastor Thomas stood near the pulpit, Bible closed, hands folded. His smile was practiced, his eyes alert. Thank you all for coming, he began once the murmur settled. Tonight is about healing, about remembering who we are. Danielle took a seat near the aisle. Healing always meant correction in Prairie Bend. We have been blessed as a town, Pastor Thomas continued. But blessings require stewardship, unity, submission to what is best for the whole. Danielle felt Reggie's presence steady beside her. The pastor's gaze moved through the room, landing, inevitably, on her. Some decisions, he said, gently, affect more than one household. A ripple moved through the pews. Danielle waited. We are not here to accuse, Pastor Thomas said, only to ask hard questions. He gestured toward the front. Miss Porter, would you join me? Free instinct in Danielle's body resisted, but she stood. The walk to the front felt longer than it was. She climbed the steps and turned to face the room. Faces she knew, faces that had known her as a child. Pastor Thomas smiled. Danielle, your grandmother was a pillar of faith, of generosity. She believed in sacrifice. Danielle held his gaze. She believed in obedience to God. The pastor nodded, unfazed. And God calls us to consider others. Danielle spoke clearly. God also calls us to guard what we are given. A murmur rippled. Pastor Thomas lowered his voice. Some feel your choices are dividing the town. Danielle did not hesitate. Truth often does. Beat silence followed. From the back, someone spoke up. Is it true you turned down an offer that could have brought jobs? Danielle looked toward the voice. Yes. Gasps. Whispers. And you did not think to consult the community? Another voice asked. Danielle inhaled slowly. Ownership tax does not require permission. The temperature in the room shifted. Pastor Thomas raised a hand. Let's remember respect. Danielle turned to him. Respect goes both ways. She scanned the room. My land is not leverage. My family is not collateral. And my faith is not a tool for pressure. A hush fell, deep, uncomfortable. Then Denise stood. She said what needed to be said. Denise called out. And she is not wrong. Another voice followed. Then another, not loud, but present. Pastor Thomas closed his Bible gently. Let's pray. Danielle stepped back into the pew beside Reggie as heads bowed. Reggie leaned close. "You did not bend," Danielle whispered back. "I did not break." Outside, the night air felt sharper. Groups gathered in clusters, voices low, opinions forming in real time. Mrs. Caldwell approached, face unreadable. That took nerve. Danielle nodded. It took honesty. Mrs. Caldwell hesitated. "You have changed." "Yes," Danielle said. "I had to." The woman studied her, then turned away without another word. Reggie exhaled once they reached the car. That was a line. Danielle looked back at the church, solid, lit, watching. "Yes," she said, and they crossed it first. As they drove away, Danielle felt the weight of the moment settle fully. Prairie Bend had made its move. So had she, and tomorrow, the consequences would arrive without warning. But tonight, Danielle Porter knew one thing with absolute clarity. She was no longer being asked to belong. She was being challenged, and she was ready. Her property, parcel 17, subject to reassessment. Danielle folded the paper carefully and set it beside the sink. So this was how they answered prayer. Reggie arrived less than 10 minutes later, the truck crunching over gravel like punctuation. "They moved fast," he said when she handed him the letter. "They always do once the church speaks," Danielle replied. Reggie read the notice, jaw tightening. "This is not routine." "No," Danielle said. "It is punishment dressed up as process." He met her eyes. "You want me to call Lowe?" "I already did," she said. "He is on his way." Mr. Lowe did not waste time. "This is an administrative squeeze," he said, seated at the table with the notice spread out in front of him. "They will request documents, delay approvals, create fatigue." Danielle leaned forward. "And they stop me?" "Not legally," Mr. Lowe replied. "But they can slow you, pressure you into a mistake." Reggie crossed his arms. "What is the move?" Mr. Lowe looked at Danielle. "We answer cleanly, completely. And we prepare for escalation." Danielle nodded. "Meaning?" "This means that," Mr. Lowe said, "they will try to involve the state. The county does not break you." The room went quiet. Reggie exhaled slowly. "That is a line." "Yes," Mr. Lowe agreed. "And it tells me something important." Danielle met his gaze. "That they are scared." "That you did not fold," he corrected. By midday, the town knew. Danielle felt it in the way people avoided her eyes or held them too long, in the way a clerk at the feed store suddenly needed a supervisor, in the silence where casual conversation used to live. She did not apologize. She did not explain. She worked. At the land, Danielle walked the perimeter with survey maps tucked under her arm, noting fence posts, tree lines, access points. Reggie followed a few paces back, letting her lead. "They are trying to turn ownership into isolation," he said. Danielle stopped and faced him. "It will not work." Reggie searched her face. "You sure?" Danielle nodded. "Because I am not hiding." That afternoon, a black sedan pulled onto Genesee Street and idled longer than necessary. Danielle watched from the porch as a man stepped out, suit crisp, expression neutral. "Miss Porter?" he asked when she approached. "Yes, I am with the county," he said, handing her a card. "We will need access to the property this week." Danielle took the card. "You will coordinate through my attorney." The man blinked, unprepared. "We usually." "Through my attorney," Danielle repeated calmly. He nodded once, then retreated to the car. Reggie stepped beside her. "You did not hesitate." Danielle exhaled. Neither did they. That evening, Danielle sat alone on the porch as the sky darkened, the sounds of Prairie Bend settling around her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Who do not have to do this the hard way." Danielle stared at the screen, then typed, "Danielle, there is no other way." She set the phone down and closed her eyes, not in fear, but in resolve. This was not about land anymore. It was about authority. Who had it? Who claimed it? Who defended it when challenged? Behind her, the porch door creaked open. Reggie stood there, quiet. Quiet. They are not done. Danielle nodded. Neither am I. He stepped closer, voice low. Whatever this turns into, I am here. Danielle looked up at him, the weight of the day heavy, but clarifying. I know, she said. That's why I can keep going. The town had answered her courage with paper and policy. She would answer with patience, preparation, and presence. Prairie Bend had chosen its weapon. So had Danielle Porter. And tomorrow, the fight would move from whispers to records, where history is written and power is proven. The inspection was scheduled for Thursday morning. Not announced, not negotiated, just placed on Danielle Porter's calendar like a fact she was expected to accept. She did not argue it. She prepared. By sunrise, Danielle was already dressed, boots on, hair pulled back, folders stacked neatly on their kitchen table. Mr. Lowe arrived first, followed by Reggie, who leaned against the counter watching her review documents with calm precision. You are ready, Reggie said. Danielle nodded. I know what they are looking for, and what they hope is that I do not. The county truck arrived just after 9. 2 officials stepped out, one younger, eager to follow procedure. The other older, quieter, eyes already scanning the land, like it had a memory he respected. I am Thomas Alvarez, the older man said, extending his hand. Compliance. Danielle shook it firmly. Danielle Porter. Alvarez nodded. We will begin with access points and boundary markers. Reggie stayed back as Danielle led them across the property, the grass still damp with morning dew. They moved methodically. Fence lines, survey stakes, natural markers her grandmother had insisted be documented decades ago. The younger inspector paused near a tree line. This fence does not match the county map. Danielle did not hesitate. Because the county map is outdated. She handed Alvarez a document from her folder, resurvey filed in 1998, Danielle said. Recorded after a boundary dispute. Signed and notarized. Alvarez read carefully, then looked up at her with something close to respect. That should have been digitized, he said. It was not. Danielle replied. That is why you are here. The younger inspector shifted uncomfortably. Halfway through the inspection, Alvarez stopped near a shallow bend in the land. You know, he said casually, this parcel was nearly taken in the 70s. Danielle's head snapped up. Taken how? Back taxes, Alvarez replied. Filed wrong. Corrected late. Quietly. Reggie stepped closer. By who? Alvarez met Danielle's eyes. Your grandmother fought it. Alone. Danielle felt something cold and steady settle in her chest. She won, Danielle said. Alvarez nodded. She did. But she left a trail most people do not. He tapped a folder. Records remember what people hope gets forgotten. The inspection ended sooner than expected. No violations. No citations. No leverage. As the county truck pulled away, the younger inspector glanced back once, unsettled. Alvarez nodded at Danielle through the window. That afternoon, the phone rang again. This time, it was Mr. Lowe, his voice quieter than usual. They did not get what they wanted, he said, which means they will try something else. Danielle leaned against the porch railing, watching the land breathe. Let them. If there is more, Mr. Lowe added. I pulled older county records last night. Danielle straightened. And there are adjacent parcels, Hare's property, poorly documented. Vulnerable. Danielle closed her eyes. They are not just after me. No, Mr. Lowe said. They are after a corridor. Reggie met her gaze as she ended the call. They want to break it piece by piece, he said. Danielle nodded. Like before. Reggie's voice dropped. You thinking what I think you are? Yes, Danielle replied. If I can secure mine, I can help secure theirs. That was the moment, not just resistance. Expansion. That evening, Danielle sat with Denise at the kitchen table, maps spread between them. You are talking about protecting more than just your land, Denise said. Yes, I am, Danielle replied, because this will not stop with me. Denise studied her niece carefully. Are you ready for that kind of wake? Danielle did not hesitate. I already have it. Denise smiled then, proudly. Your grandmother would be extremely satisfied. Reggie stood in the doorway, listening. You are not just holding ground, he said. You are drawing a line. Danielle met his eyes. I am building one. Outside, Prairie Bend settled into night, unaware that the fight had shifted. This was no longer about one parcel. It was about what history protected and what it exposed. And for the first time since Danielle returned, Prairie Bend was not ahead of her, it was reacting.